This week, an article exploded on X. In 24 hours, it reached nearly 20 million views. The author is James Van Gielen. He runs Citrini Research, currently ranked #1 among financial Substack publications. This is not a small newsletter. The annual subscription is $999. He has hundreds of thousands of paying readers. Bloomberg has featured him. The Economist has cited him. Fortune has profiled him. His own portfolio index has risen 200% since May 2023. His 2025 trade recommendations are almost all positive, with some up as much as 75%. This is not a social media influencer chasing attention. This is a serious analyst with real capital at stake. He was early on NVIDIA. He positioned early in the GLP-1 obesity drug trade. He has been firmly on the AI bull side for years. And yet this time, he wrote something that sounded deeply pessimistic. Fortune ran with a headline. The top-ranked finance writer warns of an unseen AI crisis. Michael Burry reposted it with just 5 words. And you think I am bearish. But here is the key. The scary part of the article is not that it predicts AI will fail. It predicts that AI will win. The title is The Global Intelligence Crisis of 2028. It is written as if it were a memo sent back from June 2028. The opening line states that unemployment has reached 10.2%. The S&P has fallen 38% from its peak. Traders are numb. The design is clever. But what made 20 million people stop scrolling was something else. The author assumes that every optimistic AI expectation comes true. NVIDIA keeps breaking records. The S&P climbs to 8,000. Productivity surges to levels not seen since the 1950s. Then he asks a question no one wants to ask. If AI wins, who loses? That question hits something people already feel, but cannot clearly articulate. The comment section split into 2 camps. One said he is too pessimistic. AI is not that capable. The other said he is too conservative. 1 year is enough for disruption. Whether you agree or disagree, you cannot ignore the chain of reasoning. Because at every step, you can already see shadows of it today. I am not here to read you the 20,000-word essay. The link is in the description if you want the original. Today we will do 3 things. First, I will break down his core logic domino by domino. Second, I will show you where that logic can be challenged. Third, I will explain why this matters to you, whether you are an investor or an employee. If I summarize this entire video in one sentence, it is this. If all AI bullish expectations come true, that might be the biggest bearish outcome of all. Let us start with domino number 1. The article imagines a Fortune 500 procurement manager sitting across from a SaaS vendor during a renewal negotiation. The sales rep is ready to push the usual 5% annual price increase. Switching costs are high. The client has used the software for 3 years. This is standard. But this time, the procurement manager says something different. We ran an internal experiment. With AI agents, we can replicate 80% of your product in a few weeks. We do not need you. The vendor freezes. The final outcome is a 30% discount. The author's point is not that AI can perfectly rebuild every SaaS product. The point is that if buyers believe AI can, pricing power evaporates. In negotiations, you do not need a nuclear weapon. You only need the other side to think you might have one. He then constructs a hypothetical Bloomberg headline about ServiceNow. A CV growth slows sharply. Layoffs announced. Shares drop 18% in a single day. This has not happened exactly like that, but the logic is clear. If AI reduces the complexity that SaaS companies monetize, their moats shrink. Now here's the interesting counterpoint. Someone working inside a major cloud and AI division commented that the author overestimates current AI capabilities in software engineering. AI is useful, but not magical. Then he added something subtle. It may not matter whether AI truly replaces SaaS. If procurement managers believe it can, that belief alone changes negotiations. This domino is not about technical capability. It is about perception. Domino number 2 expands the scope. The author writes that many relationships are simply friction wearing a human face. Think about insurance renewals. You do not shop every year because you are busy. Insurance companies build models around your inertia. Food delivery platforms thrive not only because of logistics, but because when you are hungry, they are one tap away on your phone. AI agents do not have habits. They do not default to convenience. Every transaction begins from zero. They scan all platforms in seconds and select the optimal option. The article calls this friction going to zero. For 2 centuries, entire industries have extracted profits not by creating value, but by monetizing information asymmetry and consumer laziness. Insurance brokers, travel agencies, credit card interchange fees. When AI agents bypass friction, margins revert to actual value creation. He extends this to MasterCard and Visa. If AI agents optimize every purchase and even transact via stablecoins directly, why pay 2 or 3% interchange fees? But here is the rebuttal article's response. It uses the same 2028 narrative structure and flips the conclusion. Friction disappearing does not mean consumption disappears. When purchasing becomes cheaper and more efficient, people often consume more. Visa and MasterCard may face margin compression, but transaction volume could surge. The key variable is simple. In a hyper-efficient world, do humans buy less or buy more? We do not know yet. Domino number 3 is the most serious. The article describes a feedback loop. AI becomes more capable. Companies realize AI is cheaper than human labor. Layoffs follow. Laid off workers reduce consumption. Corporate revenue weakens. To protect margins, companies invest more in AI. AI improves further. More layoffs occur. In traditional recessions, there is a break. Overbuilding leads to price drops, which eventually stimulate demand. Monetary easing resets the cycle. The author argues that AI-driven disruption lacks a natural break. AI does not get tired, it does not demand higher wages, it does not slow down voluntarily. He introduces a concept called ghost GDP. Nominal GDP rises because productivity and corporate profits soar, but profits no longer flow through household wages. Instead of paying employees, firms buy compute. Money concentrates in data centers and chip manufacturers. Labor's share of GDP declines sharply in his projection from 56% to 46% by 2028. GDP grows, households stagnate, that is a chilling possibility, but it depends on one major assumption that displaced workers cannot create new demand or new industries. For 200 years, every technological revolution triggered fear that this time is different. Steam engines did not eliminate work, they shifted it. The counter-argument is that previous revolutions replaced physical labor, allowing humans to move into cognitive work. AI now replaces cognitive work itself. That is a stronger claim, but strong is not the same as certain. In the 1990s, no one predicted the job title, prompt engineer. It is possible that entirely new categories emerge by 2028. It is also possible they do not. Possibility is not a strategy, but inevitability is not one either. Domino number 4 moves into finance. Private credit has expanded from $300 billion to roughly $3.5 trillion globally. In the United States alone, it exceeds $1.5 trillion. Much of this capital financed leveraged buyouts of SaaS and technology companies. If AI erodes SaaS revenue assumptions, some of these debt structures weaken. The article highlights how private equity firms use insurance subsidiaries and offshore reinsurance vehicles to layer risk. This structure is real. It is complex. It is opaque. However, private credit is not the same as the banking system in 2008. Funds are locked. There are no deposit runs. The pain would be concentrated among investors rather than systemic collapse. Still, the risk chain exists. Domino number 5 is mortgages. $13 trillion of U.S. residential mortgages rest on a simple assumption. Borrowers maintain roughly stable income over 30 years. Imagine a product manager earning $180,000 annually. Mortgage approved, credit score strong, everything compliant. 2 years later, AI replaces 80% of his tasks. He is laid off. He finds a new job at $90,000. The mortgage remains unchanged. Income is permanently lower. Unlike 2008, where many loans were flawed at origination, these loans would have been sound on day one. The question becomes whether income shock is structural or temporary. The rebuttal article argues that income disruptions will be transitional, not permanent. Housing stress may rise, but not to systemic levels. So, where does that leave us? Five dominoes: SaaS pricing power, friction collapse, employment feedback loop, private credit stress, mortgage vulnerability. Each step individually feels plausible. The question is whether they cascade within 2 years. Now, my assessment. I am neither bullish nor bearish on the entire chain. This is not about choosing a side, it is about thinking correctly. First, the article's real value is that it identifies a third scenario. Most debates today are binary: either AI is a bubble or AI is endless upside. This article asks, what if AI performs brilliantly and still destabilizes the broader economy? That is a risk almost no one models. Second, the idea of a non cyclical downturn deserves attention. If AI reduces labor demand structurally, traditional policy tools may not fully offset that shift. Third, it visualizes hidden financial linkages in private credit and insurance structures that most retail investors never examine. Now, the weaknesses. The assumption of no meaningful new job creation is too absolute. History favors adaptation. Not guaranteed, but consistent. The timeline is aggressive. 2 years for a full domino cascade likely underestimates institutional inertia, regulatory response, and human adaptability. Finally, the article may underestimate consumption resilience. If goods and services become dramatically cheaper, real purchasing power may hold up better than nominal wages suggest. So, how should you think about this? Do not ask whether this exact scenario will happen. No one knows. Ask instead, if there is a 10% probability that part of this chain materializes, is my portfolio resilient? How much of your investment thesis depends on white collar income growth, on perpetual SaaS renewals, on stable credit conditions, on uninterrupted housing demand? You do not need to believe the entire chain will break, but you should know which link matters most to you. If you are an employee, ask yourself what part of your job is execution and process management, and what part is judgment, trust, and creative synthesis. AI targets the former first. The article ends with a metaphor. The canary in the coal mine is still singing. The gas has not filled the tunnel yet. That means we have time, not to predict perfectly, but to examine our assumptions. For 200 years, history has given us confidence that technology ultimately creates more than it destroys. Confidence, however, is not certainty. If you found value here, subscribe. Share it with someone who cares about AI and investing. I will see you in the next video.